Welcome to Remember That Show, where I take a show from our past and do a bio about it. This week is part 2 of Cheers. Hope you enjoy. Themes. Nearly all of Cheers takes place in the front room of the bar, but the characters often go into the rear pool room or the bar's office. Cheers does not show any action outside the bar until the first episode of the second season, which takes place in Diane's apartment. The show's main theme in its early seasons is the romance between intellectual waitress Diane Chambers and the bar's owner, Sam Malone, a former Major League Baseball pitcher for the Boston Red Sox and recovering alcoholic. After Shelley Long Diane left the show, the focus shifted to Sam's new relationship with Rebecca Howe, a neurotic corporate ladder climber. Many Cheers scripts centered or touched upon a variety of social issues, albeit humorously. As Toasting Cheers puts it, the script was further strengthened by the writer's boldness in successfully tackling controversial issues such as alcoholism, homosexuality, and adultery. Social class was a subtext of the show. The upper class, represented by characters like Diane Chambers, Fraser Crane, and Lilith Sternin, rubbed shoulders with middle and working class characters Sam Malone, Carla Tortelli, Norm Peterson, and Cliff Clavin. An extreme example of this was a relationship between Woody Boyd and a millionaire's daughter, Kelly Gaines. Many viewers enjoyed Cheers in part because of this focus on character development in addition to plot development. Feminism and the role of women were also recurring themes throughout the show, with some critics seeing each of the major female characters portraying an aspect as a flawed feminist in her own way. Diane is a vocal feminist, and Sam is the epitome of everything she hates. Promiscuity and chauvinism see Sam and Diane. Homosexuality was dealt with from the first season, which was rare in the early 1980s on American television. In the first season episode, The Boys in the Bar, the title being a reference to the play and subsequent movie The Boys in the Band, a friend and former teammate of Sam's comes out in his autobiography. Some of the male regulars pressure Sam to take action to ensure that Cheers does not become a gay bar. The episode won a GLAAD Media Award, and the script's writers, Ken Levine and David Isaacs, were nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award. Addiction also plays a role on Cheers, almost exclusively through Sam. He is a recovering alcoholic who had bought a bar during his drinking days. Fraser has a notable bout of drinking in the fourth season episode The Triangle, while Woody develops a gambling problem in the seventh-season episode Call Me Irresponsible. Carla and other characters drink beer while pregnant, but nobody seems to mind. Cheers owners. Cheers had several owners before Sam, as the bar was opened in 1889. The EST 1895 on the bar sign is a made-up date chosen by Carla for numerology purposes, revealed in Season 8, Episode 6, The Stork Brings a Crane, which also revealed the bar's address as 112 Beacon Street and that it originated under the name Moms. In the series' second episode, Sam's Women, Coach tells a customer looking for Gus, the owner of Cheers, that Gus is dead. In a later episode, Gus Omley comes back from Arizona for one night and helps run the bar. The biggest storyline surrounding the ownership of Cheers begins in the fifth season finale, I Do a Do, when Sam and Diane part ways, due to Shelley Long's departure from the series. In addition, Sam leaves on a trip to circumnavigate the globe. Before he leaves, he sells Cheers to the Lillian Corporation. He returns in the sixth season premiere, home as the sailor, having sunk his boat, to find the bar under the new management of Rebecca Howe. He begs for his job back and is hired by Rebecca as a bartender. In the seventh-season premiere, How to Reseed in Business, Rebecca is fired and Sam is promoted to manager. Rebecca is allowed to keep a job at Lillian vaguely similar to what she had before, but only after Sam as Rebecca in absentia agreed to a long list of demands that the corporation had for her. From there, Sam occasionally attempts to buy the bar back with schemes that usually involve the wealthy executive Robin Colcord. Sam acquires Cheers again in the eighth season finale, when it is sold back to him for 85 cents by the Lillian Corporation after he alerts the company to Colcord's insider trading. Fired by the corporation because of her silence on the issue, Rebecca is hired by Sam as a hostess office manager. For the rest of the episode, to celebrate Sam's reclaiming the bar, a huge banner reading "Under Old Management" hangs from the staircase. When it is learned that the pool room and bathrooms are actually owned by Melville's, which spawns a war of wits between Sam and Melville's owner John Allen Hill. Rebecca later purchases them from Hill, making Sam and Rebecca partners in the ownership of Cheers and more or less co-runners of the establishment. Sam has two main battles. One is with Gary's Old Town Tavern, trying to beat them at some activity or another but always failing. Except for one episode when Diane helps Cheers win the bowling trophy, and extending to the practical jokes they play on each other. The second is with Melville's owner John Allen Hill, who keeps annoying Sam with his pettiness and ego. Hill had an ongoing relationship with Carla. Production, creation, and concept. Some believe that the show is a rehashing of Boston's ABC affiliate WCVB's locally produced 1979 sitcom Park Street under featuring Steve Sweeney and American Repertory Theater founder Karen MacDonald. Three men developed and created the Cheers television series. Glenn and Les Charles, Glenn and Les, and James Burrows, who identified themselves as two Mormons and a Jew. They aimed at creating a show around a Spencer Tracy Katharine Hepburn type relationship between their two main characters, Sam and Diane. Malone represents the average man, while Chambers represents class and sophistication. The show revolves around characters in a bar under humorous adult themes and situations. The original idea was a group of workers who interacted like a family, the goal being a concept similar to the Mary Tyler Moore Show. The creators considered making an American version of the British Fawlty Towers, set in a hotel or an inn. When the creators settled on a bar as their setting, the show began to resemble the radio program Duffy's Tavern, originally written and co-created by James Burrows' father A. Burrows. They liked the idea of a tavern, as it provided a continuous stream of new people, for a variety of characters. An early concept revolved around a woman becoming the new owner of the bar and the animosity created between her and the regulars, an idea that was used later in Season 6 when the character of Rebecca Howe is introduced. Early discussions about the location of the show centered on Barstow, California, then Kansas City, Missouri. They eventually turned to the East Coast and finally Boston. The Bull and Finch pub in Boston, which was a model for Cheers, was chosen from a phone book. When Glenn Charles asked the bar's owner, Tom Kershaw, to shoot exterior and interior photos, he agreed, charging $1. Kershaw has since gone on to make millions of dollars, licensing the pub's image and selling a variety of Cheers memorabilia. The Bull and Finch became the 42nd busiest outlet in the American food and beverage industry in 1997. During initial casting, Shelley Long, who was in Boston at the time filming A Small Circle of Friends, remarked that the bar in the script resembled a bar she had come upon in the city, which turned out to be the Bull and Finch. Production team. The crew of Cheers numbered in the hundreds. The three creators, James Burrows and Glenn and Les Charles, kept offices on Paramount's lot for the duration of the Cheers run. The Charles brothers remained in overall charge throughout the show's run, frequently writing major episodes. Though starting with the third season, they began delegating the day-to-day running of the writing staff to various showrunners. Ken Eston and Sam Simon were appointed as showrunners for the third season, and succeeded by David Angel, Peter Casey, and David Lee the following year. Angel, Casey, and Lee would remain as showrunners until the end of the seventh season, when they left to develop their own sitcom, Wings, and were replaced by Bill and Sherry Steinkellner and Fief Sutton for the 8th through 10th seasons. For the final season, Tom Anderson and Dan O'Shannon acted as the showrunners. James Burrows is regarded as being a factor in the show's longevity, directing 243 of the 270 episodes and supervising the show's production. Among the show's other directors were Andy Ackerman, Thomas Lofaro, Tim Berry, Tom Moore, Rick Byrne, as well as cast members John Ratzenberger and George Wendt. Craig Safan provided the series' original music for its entire run except the theme song. His extensive compositions for the show led to his winning numerous ASCAP Top TV Series awards for his music. Casting. The character of Sam Malone was originally intended to be a retired football player and was slated to be played by Fred Dryer. But Danson was chosen in part because he was younger and had more acting experience than Dryer. After casting Ted Danson, it was decided that a former baseball player, Sam Mayday Malone, would be more believable than a retired football player. Dryer, however, went on to play sportscaster Dave Richards, an old friend of Sam, in 3 episodes. Bill Cosby was also considered early in the casting process for the role of Sam, after having been recommended by the network. Shelley Long was recommended by various sources to the producers for the role of Diane Chambers, but Long wished to be offered the part straight out and had to be coaxed into giving an audition. When she did read for the part, according to Glenn Charles, that was it. We knew that we wanted her. Before the final decision was made, 3 pairs of actors were tested in front of the producers and network executives for Sam and Diane, Danson and Long, Fred Dryer and Julia Duffy, and William Devane and Lisa Eichhorn. The chemistry was so apparent between Long and Danson that it secured them the roles. Ted Danson was sent to bartending school to prepare him for the part, and according to Burroughs, had to learn how to pretend that he knew a lot about sports, since Danson was not a sports fan in real life and had never been to a baseball game. The character of Cliff Clavin was created for John Ratzenberger after he auditioned for the role of Norm Peterson, which eventually went to George Wendt. While chatting with producers afterward, he asked if they were going to include a bar know-it-all, the part he eventually played. Allie joined the cast when Shelley Long left, and Woody Harrelson joined when Nicholas Colasano died. Danson, Perlman, and Wendt were the only actors to appear in every episode of the series. Ratzenberger appears in all but 2, and his name wasn't part of the opening credit montage during the first season. Filming styles and locations. On Cheers, we never did everything twice. On Cheers, we went through the scene, and I only res-hot jokes that didn't work, or I went back and picked up shots I missed. James Burroughs. Most Cheers episodes were, as a voiceover stated at the start of each, filmed before a live studio audience on Paramount Stage 25 in Hollywood, generally on Tuesday nights. Scripts for a new episode were issued the Wednesday before for a read-through. Friday was rehearsal day, and final scripts were issued on Monday. Burroughs, who directed most episodes, insisted on using film stock rather than videotape. He was also noted for using motion in his directorial style, trying to constantly keep characters moving rather than standing still. Burroughs and the Charles brothers emphasized to the cast to never assume that you're not being watched, because the camera would be focused on the actors at all times, so they had to always be reacting and always be funny. During the first season, when ratings were poor, Paramount and NBC asked that the show use videotape to save money, but a poor test taping ended the experiment, and Cheers continued to use film. Due to a decision by Glenn and Les Charles, the cold open was often not connected to the rest of the episode, with the lowest-ranked writers assigned to create the jokes for them. Some cold opens were taken from episodes that ran too long. The first year of the show took place entirely within the confines of the bar, the first location outside the bar being Diane's apartment in the second year. When the series became a hit, the characters started venturing further afield, first to other sets and eventually to an occasional exterior location. The exterior location shots of the bar are the Bull and Finch pub, located directly north of the Boston Public Garden. The pub has become a tourist attraction because of its association with the series, and draws nearly 1 million visitors annually. It has since been renamed Cheers Beacon Hill. Its interior is different from the TV bar. The pub itself is at 84 Beacon Street, on the corner of Brimmer Street. In August 2001, there was a replica made of the bar in Faneuil Hall to capitalize on the popularity of the show. After the show ended, the 1,000-square-foot bar set from Cheers was offered to the Smithsonian, which turned it down because it was too large. It was displayed for a short time at the defunct Hollywood Entertainment Museum, but later returned to storage, where it remained for many years. In 2014, CBS donated the set to the Museum of Television after a years-long campaign by James Burroughs and his office on behalf of the museum's founder, James Commissar. At the time of the donation, Commissar initiated a planned $100,000 restoration of the set using former conservators from the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, although a site for the 10,000-item collection of the museum had not been decided upon. Theme song. Before Where Everybody Knows Your Name, written by Gary Portnoy and Judy Hart-Angelo, became the show's theme song. Cheers producers rejected two of Portnoy's and Hart-Angelo's songs. The songwriters had collaborated to provide music for Preppies, an unsuccessful Broadway musical. When told they could not appropriate People Like Us, Preppies' opening song, the pair wrote another song, My Kind of People, which resembles People Like Us and was intended to satirize the lifestyle of old decadent old money wasps. But to meet producers' demands, they rewrote the lyrics to be about likable losers in a Boston bar. The show's producers rejected this song as well. After they read the script of the series pilot, they created another song, Another Day. When Portnoy and Hart-Angelo heard that NBC had commissioned 13 episodes, they created an official theme song, Where Everybody Knows Your Name, and rewrote the lyrics. On syndicated airings of Cheers, the theme song was shortened to make room for additional commercials. Reception. Critical reception. Cheers was critically acclaimed in its first season, though it landed a disappointing 74th out of 96 shows in that year's ratings. This critical support, the early success at the Primetime Emmy Awards, and the support of the president of NBC's entertainment division, Brandon Tartikoff, are thought to be the main reasons for the show's survival and eventual success. Tartikoff stated in 1983 that Cheers was a sophisticated adult comedy, and that NBC executives never for a second doubted that the show would be renewed. Ryder Levine believes that the most important reason was that the network recognized that it did not have other hit shows to help promote Cheers. As he later wrote, NBC had nothing else better to replace it with. Writing in 2016, drama critic Chris Jones called Cheers a hinge sitcom, one foot in classic bits and shtick not far removed from Mel Brooks and another in ambitious, Seinfeld-like absurdism. In 2013, GQ magazine held an online competition to find the best TV comedy. Cheers was voted the greatest comedy show of all time. In 2017, James Charisma of Pace magazine ranked the show's opening sequence number 5 on a list of the 75 best TV title sequences of all time. In 2022, Rolling Stone ranked Cheers as the 8th greatest TV show of all time. In 2023, Variety ranked Cheers number 11 on its list of the 100 greatest TV shows of all time. Ratings. Ratings improved for the summer reruns after the first season. The cast went on various talk shows to try to further promote the series after its first season. By the second season, Cheers was competitive with CBS's top-rated show Simon & Simon, with the growing popularity of Family Ties, which ran in the slot ahead of Cheers from January 1984 until Family Ties was moved to Sundays in 1987, and the placement of The Cosby Show in front of both at the start of their third season, 1984. The lineup became a runaway rating success that NBC eventually dubbed Must-See Thursday. The next season, Cheers' ratings increased dramatically after Woody Boyd became a regular character as well. The fifth season earned the series the highest rating for the year that it would ever achieve. Although ratings mostly declined each year after that, the show retained a competitive advantage and rose to rank number 1 for the year for its first and only time in the 9th season. Although ratings and ranking both lost ground in the last 2 seasons, it still performed well, as it was the only show on NBC during those seasons to be in the top 10. By the end of its final season, the show had a run of 8 consecutive seasons in the top 10 of the Nielsen ratings. 7 of them were in the top 5. NBC dedicated a whole night to the final episode of Cheers, following the 1-hour season finale of Seinfeld, which was its lead-in. The show began with a pre-game show hosted by Bob Costas, followed by the final 98-minute episode itself. NBC affiliates then aired tributes to Cheers during their local newscasts, and the night concluded with a Special Tonight show broadcast live from the Bull and Finch pub. Although the episode fell short of its hyped ratings predictions to become the most-watched television episode, it was the most-watched show that year, bringing in 93 million viewers, 64% of all viewers that night, almost 40% of the U.S. population at the time, and ranked 11th all-time in entertainment programming. The 1993 final broadcast of Cheers also emerged as the highest-rated broadcast of NBC to date, as well as the most watched single episode from any television series throughout the decade 1990s on U.S. television. The episode originally aired in the usual Cheers spot of Thursday night and was then rebroadcast on Sunday. While the original broadcast did not outperform the MASH finale, the combined non-repeating audiences for the Thursday and Sunday showings did. Television had greatly changed between the two finales, leaving Cheers with a broader array of competition for ratings. Well, that was part 2 of Remember the Show Cheers. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned to next week for the final Cheers show. If you have any thoughts about Cheers, let me know them in the comments. I would like to read them. If you have any ideas for shows you would like to see me cover, let me know in the comments. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. As always, until next time, keep on collecting. Bye.